Good afternoon, class. I bring to you today some revision stuff that we are going to look at plant growth hormones. In our last presentation, I had some notes that I gave you, or we had a lecture which was actually explaining and articulating on various plant growth hormones, and quite a lot of them we did not have, of course, the scientific questions that we can use to refer to in order for us to quickly understand this. So I just came with some questions here that we are going to use in order for us to conclusively say that we have comprehensively and answered and done and covered this chapter. Without wasting any time, we want to quickly go into these questions. There is a diagram that is given on the board there. These are extracts that we have taken from previous question papers just to have typical presentations of the questions, which are from 2020 and 2022. Yeah. So we have got a diagram that shows plant movement. That shows the growth movement of a part of a plant towards a stimulus, which we are saying any movement of a plant towards a stimulus, we call that a tropism. It's called tropism, which we are saying in this case, obviously, I would want you to remember that the tropism that we have, we are saying it is phototropism and geotropism. By virtue that we are given the stem responding to a stimulus that is coming from up or which is coming above it. In that regard, there is no any other stimuluses that we can think about besides light. So we call that phototropism, which is a growth movement of a plant or parts of a plant in response to light stimulus. That is phototropism. So if it is coming from, or if it has to do with the roots, you don't need to worry about anything else. You need to automatically know that it is what? It is geotropism. So tropisms, we basically have two types of them. Geotropism, which is because of the forces of gravity, and also we have got phototropism, which is also the plant growth, the plant response to the effects of light. I'm sure I remember in your lower levels, you had experiments which you did to explain if light is necessary for photosynthesis or for plant growth. So in this regard, we see a plant that is lying in a tin, and then you see that it is growing up straight upwards, which is showing that it is growing upwards, responding to the effects of light. Hence, we are saying it is phototropism. So the first question, which is there, is saying what growth movement is represented in the diagram? Our question 1.5.1, our first question 1.5.1, the growth movement which is represented in this regard, we are saying it is phototropism. It is phototropism. This is phototropism, like I've said, that we are seeing that there is light or the stimulus is coming from up on top of the plant, which is exerting its sun rays or light energy up on top of the plant. Hence, we call that what? Phototropism. And then identify the stimulus labeled A, 1.5.2. 1.5.2. The stimulus labeled A, we have already answered it again, that it is what? It is light. We are saying this can be, we say that it is what? It is light. We can as well say light, or it can also be called sunlight. It is sunlight, or it can also be the radiant energy of the sun, which we can also say, or radiant energy. The radiant energy. The radiant energy of the sun, radiant energy. So we are saying it is light, it is sunlight, it is radiant energy. All of those answers are identifying the stimulus labeled A. 1.5.3. 1.5.3. name the growth hormone that is responsible for the growth movement named in question 1.5.1 above there. We are saying in this case, what we need to understand is that plant growth or plant cell elongation, it is always caused because of what? It is always caused because of auxins. So the hormone, the plant growth hormone that is responsible here, it is what? It is auxins. It is auxins. I'm sure that you remember from our last class, which we said again that we have got one specific type of auxin that is there, which is sometimes given as what? Indoacetic acid. Is given as indoacetic acid. It's indoacetic acid. It's a type of it's a specific type of auxin growth hormone. Indoacetic acid, abbreviated as what? As IAA. So if you say that, if you give it like this, you are still all right, you are still correct. If you say auxins, you are still correct. And you can also be precise to say that it is indoacetic acid. And then 1.5.4, 1.5.4 will a high concentration of the growth hormone named in question above stimulate or inhibit growth in the roots. In our last time, in our previous presentation or lecture, I did explain to you that in regard to geotropism, remember that these auxins are produced at the apical tip of a root or a tip of a stem. So when they are produced from the root, at the tip of the root, they have to migrate upward the root. So a higher concentration of auxins in the root, it always results in inhibition of growth. It results in inhibition of growth. It inhibits growth, this one. High concentration of this hormone in the root, it results in, it does inhibit growth. It does inhibit growth. It does inhibit growth. I'm sure I remember this. It can be well explained in that illustration that I gave also last time, where I was showing the response of a plant root that is horizontally placed with regards to the effect of auxins, which we also explained that the reasons why the root has to bend downwards, it is because there is a higher concentration of auxins on the lower side of the root, which causes or which inhibits growth than the upper surface of the root. Hence, the upper surface of the root grows faster than the lower surface, resulting in the root bending downward. So what we are saying is that an increased or an excess concentration of auxins in the root, it results in what? It results in inhibition of growth. It causes instantaneous growth in roots. That is what is happening there. Our next question is saying, name the phenomenon where the buds at the tip of the plant regulate the growth of the lateral branches. We are saying phenomenon where the buds at the tip of the plant regulate the growth of lateral buds. We are talking about lateral buds. These are side shoots, and then in this case we are saying the bud at the tip is to say the straight part of the stem, which we are saying that what is this called? It is called apical dominance, number 1.5.5. It is called apical dominance. It is called apical dominance. Apical dominance, we are saying it is when the we are saying which is where the buds at the tip of the plant regulate the growth of lateral buds. In most cases, if a plant, we are saying it is just having its primary apical bud, which is at the tip of the stem. When it is not cut, it continuously grows through, straight upwards, which at most times will result in avoidance of side shoots. Side shoots will not be there because there is increased vertical growth or upward growth of the of the primary stem, which is straight upwards. We're gonna answer our next question. Our next question is here, which is question 2.5.1. Question 2.5.1. Read the extract. Some plants contain chemical substances such as alkaloids and cyanogenic glycosides, which we are saying the alkaloids are beta testing compounds, while cyanogenic glycosides are toxic substances. Caffeine is an example of an alkaloid that occurs in plants like coffee, Apical coffee. And then we are saying having those, although harmless to humans, caffeine kills pathogenic fungi. Nicotine is another example of alkaloid that is found in tobacco plants. So in this extract, we are here to answer questions that has to do with plant defense mechanisms. In this regard, I would want to refer back again that plants also do defend themselves from the grazers and also browsers, which we are saying animals or organisms that feed on them. In order for them to survive, they have to defend themselves. In this regard, the extract is referring to plant defense mechanisms that are actually given in this context. The first question, 2.5.1, name 2 alkaloids that are found in plants. Here we are saying the plant contains, we are given that there is caffeine and nicotine, which we are saying there is what? There is caffeine is an example of alkaloid that is given there. We are saying one, it is given there that there is alkaloids that is given in this case, and then we are given again in the last part of the last paragraph, the extract, which is saying we have got nicotine as another example of alkaloid that is found in plant. So 2.5.1, we have got caffeine, and then as one, we have got 2, which is nicotine. These are given in our case there. So in most scenarios, questions such as these ones, you always need to understand that the answers are given within the within the paragraph or within the comprehensions that are attached on the questions. Question 2.5. Question 2.5.2. Question 2.5. Explain 2 ways in which caffeine production acts as a defense mechanism in plants. We are saying one, they've got a beta test, which is given there. We are saying accolades, these are examples. We are saying it has got a beta test. They do have a beta test that is given there. They have got a beta test, and then we are also given that it also kills pathogen. It also kills. They kill pathogenic fungi, which is also another question, another answer that is given there. So we are saying one, they have the beta test, it's a defense mechanism. They have a beta test. You see, what happens with the beta test is just that it will make vegetation or plants very unpalatable or very untasty, unpleasant to animals or to browsers and grazers. Hence, animals cannot eat them. They've got that beta test that avoids palatability or that reduces the palatability to animals or organisms that feed on them. Which we are saying this will prevent herbivores from feeding on them. Beta test, which prevents herbivores from feeding on them. So we are saying herbivores. I'm sure you know that these are animals that feed on vegetation. We are talking about animals that feed on vegetation. We call them what? Herbivores. We are saying they are herbivores. Herbivores which prevent animals from feeding on them, which prevent herbivores from feeding on them. And then we also have the caffeine will kill pathogenic fungi, as I have mentioned there. Caffeine is number 2. We're saying there is the caffeine kills pathogenic fungi. It kills pathogenic fungi. That is quite correct. It kills pathogenic fungi there. That is quite correct there. And then, which is also protecting animals from diseases or death. I'm sure you know these fungi are just like some form of plants attack, which we are saying they grow like molds on vegetation. Hence, we are saying this caffeine killing pathogenic fungi, it protects plants from what? From diseases and death. It protects plants from diseases and eventually death. Diseases and death. It protects plants from diseases and death. That is quite correct. And then next question, 2.5.3. 2.5.3. 2.5.3 is saying name one other plant defense mechanism. In this case, we are saying these forms of plant defense mechanism that have been stated there, we can give them as to say these are, for example, we can say they are chemical defense mechanism. So we have got the physical defense mechanism, which is what? One other plant defense mechanism, which is, we are saying it's physical, which is that is thorns. We can have physical, that is thorns. Physical defense, physical, that is thorns. The thorns, they prick animals when they want to feed on the vegetation. That is the thorns. We can also have one other plant defense mechanism, which we can also give here. We can also have another one, which can also be still relevant, is density or tiny leaves. It's another defense mechanism that we can also have in plants. We can also have what you call milk secretions. As to say, we can also give it as milky sticky secretions. They are also an example of plant defense mechanism that can also be used. You see, when plants have got very dense leaves, the density of the leaves, as to say, they are so tightly or highly packed, it is a mechanism that is designed to avoid animals from eating on such vegetation. So that is what it is right now. And the next question, our next question, it is showing, describe the role of auxins in phototropism when a plant is exposed to unilateral light. This we did not, we are saying the defense, this question, the role of auxins in phototropism when a plant is exposed to unilateral light. I'm sure that this I've also answered it in my notes or in my first presentation that we did in the class there. So we can otherwise just recap it in order for us to just clear off the concept. Describe the role of auxins in phototropism. That is what the question is saying. Role of auxins in phototropism, that is on unilateral light. Unilateral light, we are saying light from one direction. In unilateral, we are saying light from one direction. This question wants you to talk about light exposed from one direction. Light exposed from one direction. That is what the question is asking. That is what the question wants us to talk about. The issue of light from one direction. So what is happening when we are saying auxins move away from light? That is one question, one first point there. One, auxins move away. They move away from, auxins move away from light. That is first thing there. And then causing a higher concentration, causing a higher concentration of the auxins on the darker side of the plant. Dark side of the plant. So what we are saying is that auxins move away from light, causing them to be highly concentrated on the other side or on the opposite side from the direction of light. And then what causes that, what then happens there is that this resulting in highly stimulated growth on the dark side than the direction from the source of light. So what happens is that they result in an uneven growth. This side where there is high concentration of auxins will grow faster than the side which is where the light is coming from, and then the stem will grow or bend towards the source of light. The stem we need to understand to say the stem will grow or bend towards the source of light. Will grow or bend towards the source of light. I'm sure that you remember this. This is what we have been just answering on top there, where we said that where you can see where you saw this plant there, to say that this plant, it was lying horizontally on the ground, but it moved. It actually bent towards the source of light because the plant is being stimulated to grow upward because of the response to light. So what we are saying is that the issue of unilateral light results in the plant growing towards the source of light as a result of the benting effect, which is caused because of uneven growth that is taking place on the what? On the part of the stem. The part of the stem or the stem does not grow universally or evenly. Hence, the inner side growing slower, it causes the plant stem to bend towards the source of light. So our next question, let's just quickly answer our next question. Our next question is this: the diagram below shows the results obtained, which we are saying these results are obtained from an investigation that was done to determine the effects of plant hormone on plant growth. The procedures that are given, as we are seeing here, are that there are two plants, 1 and 2 of the same species and age, which were used, and the apical buds of both plants were cut at the same length along the stem. The apical buds were cut at the same length. As you can see, we are saying the apical buds were cut at the same length. This is the same length. We are saying this is plant 1, our plant 1, and we are having our plant 2, which we are saying they are all cut here. You see, they are cut there, and the block of alga is of alga gel is placed there, and petroleum gel is placed here. And then you can see there is lateral buds that are forming on this side. So we have got this investigation that is being shown, and the results are shown as that, as below there. One question, or first question 2.4.1, state why the apical bud was placed on block jar jelly for plant for 2 hours, which we are saying, why was it placed on this for 2 hours? Why was it placed for this on 2 hours? Why was it placed on this for 2 hours? The question is saying, one, we need to understand to say that this scenario or this question, it is an analysis of the effect of apical buds on plant growth. So question 2.4.1, why is the apical bud, why the apical bud was placed on a block of algae jelly for 2 hours? This is because so that the plant growth hormone or auxins from the apical tip could diffuse into the block of the what? This question, it wants us to understand that 2.4.1, so that the plant hormone, so that the plant hormone, which we are talking about in this case, obviously you must understand to say the auxins, so then the plant hormone, the auxins from the apical tip will also diffuse or could diffuse into the block of the jelly. Could diffuse into the block of algae jelly. That is the reason. The block jelly or the block of algae jelly, this one, it is actually ensuring that all the auxins that are coming from this plant, as they reach here, it is placed for 2 hours such that they can enter into this block of algae jelly there. They can enter. Diffusing is that they can just come into, or they can move into this block here. So the question is saying, why was it placed? Why was the block placed for 2 hours? To ensure that all the hormones that are produced, or the auxins that are produced from the apical tip, could diffuse or move into the block of algae jelly. That is question 2.4.1. And number 2.4.2, describe the results obtained from plant 1. This plant 1 here, it has got petroleum jelly, and then we have got lateral buds forming there. So what happened is that the stem stopped growing upwards. As you can see, when the petroleum jelly was placed there, the stem stopped, it stopped growing upwards. The stem stopped growing upwards, and then resulting in lateral branches developing, resulting in lateral branches, resulting in lateral branches, resulting in lateral branches growing. As you can see there, we are saying when the apical bud was the apical tip was removed here, was cut, we have got this as to say this is a side shoot one, which we are seeing there. We have got also a side shoot two that is also forming there. So what happens is that the effect of auxins now, we are saying it is causing side shoots to form now, because the apical tip was cut, and then now it is resulting in the formation of side shoots forming on the what, on the plant there. 2.4.3 2.4.3 explain how fruit farmers can use the knowledge from this question above to their benefit. The concept that is shown here to say that when the apical tip or the apical domains was done, was cut there, what is happening is that explain how this knowledge can result in benefiting, or it would result in helping farmers who are doing fruit, who are into fruit farming. So in other words, we are saying this would ensure that one, they would ensure that they cut their stems to ensure that lateral stems are forming such that they will grow. One, branches develop that can bear more fruits. It helped them to ensure that they they cause lateral branches to grow so as to increase their yields, so that they can increase their yields. They can increase their yields there by allowing the lateral branches to form. They can also make sure that their crops, or I mean their fruits, increases in yield because of formation or growth of many branches. Also, as you can see again, when the plant, when this plant was cut, the apical tip, what happens again, that it grows shorter. So they would ensure that they can make their trees to grow shorter. Or as another point, number two, they can ensure that their trees grow shorter to make harvesting easier. Harvesting can be made easier because the trees are shorter. So they can just make their trees to be shorter such that they can the harvesting process can be what can be easier to make harvesting easier. It's going. So you know, Musa, to say when trees are short, harvesting of the fruits can be what can be easier to make harvesting easier. That can also that can harvesting of the fruit easier. That can also be a good answer there. And then question 2.4, explain why the stem is in plot 2. In plot 2, plant grew upwards. Explain why the stem in plot in plot 2 grew upwards. 2.4.4. 2.4.4. We can say what is happening here. One, auxins in the block of the algae jelly move downwards into the stem. As you can see there, that we said the auxins are being diffusing into the block there. So we are saying we need to understand that auxins in the block of algae jelly will move upward and will move downwards into the stem. They moved downwards into the stem. They moved downwards into the stem, causing cell elongation. Causing cell elongation or growth resulting in upwards growth of the stem. Cell elongation, I'm sure that you know that it is the same as what is the same as growth, resulting in upward growth of the stem, resulting in upward growth of the stem. So if you can remember our first part here, we're saying that this block, it is going to absorb the, it actually ensures that it absorbs all the oxygen that will produce there. So when this happens, they will eventually again move downwards into the stem. When the oxygen also moves downwards into the stem in this plant, they will move also downwards. They will move downwards into the stem there, causing what? Cell elongation. Would have cell elongation taking place in this plant there. The downward or the up, this would cause cell elongation will take place, which causes the plant to making the plant to grow tall, making the plant or a stem to grow tall. In that case, that is one other thing that we should understand, that auxins in the block of the algae jelly move downwards into the stem, causing cell elongation or growth that results in upward growth of the stem. That is why it grew upwards. That is why it grew upwards there. So, having said this, we are saying these are some of the questions that we actually needed to articulate or needed to explain. So therefore, we can be able to what? We can be able to refer and answer all our various questions, or we'll be able to answer many other questions that might arise that we need to understand. And then I just want to quickly confirm some few other questions that we can check here. Okay, you see this part, I just see that I just mistakenly omitted it. 3.5.1. 3.5.1, it's saying Auxins control different aspects of plant growth and development in plants. They are known to influence the growth of stems, and they also stimulate the development of new root and stem cuttings in plant propagation. During plant propagation, a stem of a plant is cut and then placed in water containing small quantities of artificial auxin, that is auxin that is made in the laboratory. Auxins stimulate root growth development in the cuttings. So this question, it is just, let us quickly just answer it very fast. Question 3.5.1, name two places in plants where auxins are produced. 3.5.1, auxins, where do we have auxins being produced? They are produced at the apical tip of the stem. One, apical tip of the stem. We can have them produced at the apical tip of the stem, that is correct, or which is apical or tip of the stem. Apical or tip of the stem. We can also have them produced at the apical or tip of root. Auxins are always produced on the freshest part of the plant, which is the tip of the stem or tip of the root. That is where the auxins are produced. And then next question is saying 3.5.2, state two ways in which auxins cause growth, cause an increase in length of plants. In this case, we need to understand that auxins stimulate development in roots. They also influence what? In this case, I also mentioned this in our previous presentation, which we said that auxins, number 3.5.2, they also stimulate cell division. One, we are saying they stimulate mitotic cell division. Auxins stimulate mitotic cell division, that is correct. And then we also need to understand that they stimulate cell elongation. They also stimulate cell elongation. That is quite correct again. And then question 3.5.3, name one other plant hormone that causes an increase in plant length of stems. 3.5.3, other hormone. Remember that we're saying cell growth, it is caused by auxins. The cell elongation is caused by auxins and what? And gibberellins. It is gibberellins that are also responsible for this function. Gibberellins are also responsible for that. 3.5.4, 3.5.4, explain how auxins can be used in plant propagation to the advantage of nature conservation. We are saying auxins, in terms of propagation, we are talking about the growth of plants through artificial means, which is through cuttings. So this can also be used in terms of what? Increased plant growth. We are saying it increases plant growth as indicated also there, stimulate growth there. It is given there. It stimulates growth in formation of roots, which would also allow growth. So increased plant growth, increased plant growth, and also it can also be used to save our endangered species. It can also be used, it saves, auxins can be used to save species that are facing, that are facing that are facing extinction. So species that might look like they're gonna be finished, they can be saved through auxins. So what we are saying is this is scenarios that we need to understand, or these are some of the questions that can be asked in terms of plant growth hormones. So we have managed to answer a multiple of questions that might arise, which we need to typically and understand and get a proper understanding to them in regard to technicalities of questioning and stuff. So plant propagation, we talk about auxins, helping to save our endangered species there. It also talk about the increase in growth, or the fastening growth in plants, which would enable them also to survive in cases of regrowing, which we are talking about growing them from cuttings. So these are the things. I thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe and also click the notification button in order for you to see and know other videos or other lessons that would come. Thank you very much, and all the best in in your exams, towards your exams. Go pass, keep connected. This year we will never lose it. All the best. Thank you, and don't forget to tell a friend and tell another friend to subscribe and follow our information as we go. Thank you. Good day.